everyone? It's time for us to go and take a look at the iPad 9th generation and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE and see which particular tablet is the better one for you. Now, Apple basically just discontinued the iPad 9, so I don't know, I feel like they should have continued selling that thing, but regardless, let's go and see how both these iPads compare, or these tablets compare. If you want to pick up either one of these things, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there, and you can help support the channel at the same time. The big thing to keep in mind is that the Galaxy Tab S9 FE is pretty much, being released for about like $400-ish right now. The iPad 9 is basically sold for like less than $300, probably even around $200 at this point, to be honest. So that's a pretty big difference. On the S9 FE, you were getting a 10.9-inch IPS LCD panel, 90Hz display, 1440p, and it was a pretty good looking panel. Not an OLED screen, but it's still a pretty good looking device and a pretty good looking panel when it kind of comes down to it, which this thing, like I said before, still looks very, very good, and I'm a very, very big fan of it when it comes down to it. The iPad 9, on the other hand, is a little bit of a different story. It's a 10.2-inch IPS LCD panel, so it's a little bit smaller technically. It has more bezel. It is actually giving you a higher, pixels per inch density, and it's giving you a high resolution on this panel as well. So it is actually very interesting that that panel in this, iPad is cheaper, but it could end up giving you a better display in some ways. Although the Tab S9 FE is giving you a 90Hz panel, so that one is a little bit better, and there's less bezel on the S9 FE as well. But both are, have their pros and cons at the front. On the bottoms, the S9 FE has a USB Type-C port, a standard Lightning port on the iPad 9. Kind of a disadvantage for the iPad 9, but still understandable. They're both built very well as well, so it's not like one feels very cheap or one feels very expensive. They both feel fairly premium when it comes down to it, which is kind of another good advantage of both these tablets as well. The Tab S9 FE is giving you that microSD card slot though, which that in and of itself can be a really, really cool feature going on for that particular device. Like if I'm going to go through and buy some sort of a tablet, I like the fact that my Tab S9 FE is giving me that microSD card slot. It's a very cool feature when it comes down to it. On top of that, on the backside, you have the aluminum backs, you have the camera setups as well. Some very, very interesting overlapping stuff. But I will definitely tell you when it comes down to it, if I'm looking at one, the Tab S9 FE probably is the one that's going to look more like a flagship in some ways, but I think the iPad 9 still looks very, very good when it comes down to it as well. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. Camera-wise, you're obviously getting, good cameras on both. They're both 8-megapixel sensors on the back and 12-megapixel ultra-wide cameras on the front. You can go to 4K at 30 on the back of the Tab S9 FE. The iPad 9 is giving you that 8-megapixel camera, but it's giving you, 1080p sensor there. So that right there might be one thing to keep in mind. I will tell you when it comes down to the camera quality on both. Both are great. I think the Tab S9 FE may have a little bit more features up its sleeves, but there's still so much overlap between these two that there's really not even like that big of a difference. I like being able to film in 4K at 30 like you're getting on the Tab S9 FE, but regardless of that, there's not really like big insane differences, and I probably would say either one is going to be fine. And I like the fact that both of these are giving us ultra-wide cameras on the front sides. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there as well. On top of that, when it comes down to the software longevity, both are going to be lasting for quite some time. I don't really think one is going to last like a significantly less time than the other one. And I think both of them are going to be giving us a pretty decent experience when it comes down to it for the next couple of years. But there's a chance the Tab S9 FE and the iPad 9, again, we don't know which one's going to last longer here. We're just going to have to kind of wait and see, but maybe the iPad 9 will last longer. But again, I don't want to give like a definitive answer if I'm not really too sure. In terms of the chipsets and the performance between both, the iPad 9th generation is giving you that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM, where the Tab S9 FE is going to be giving you that Exynos 1380 chipset inside with 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now, I'll tell you, in some ways, I feel like the iPad 9 is a little bit of a smoother, more cohesive iPad or tablet when it comes down to it. I feel like that one kind of gives me a little bit more of an experience that I'd look at and be like, okay, it's like more consistent sometimes. But the Tab S9 FE is still a very good performing tablet, and I wish this thing had like a little bit of a better, optimized chipset. But regardless of that, I think this is still a very, very good, performing tablet on the Tab S9 FE as well. But I don't know if like one is like way insanely better than the other one. I think there's still lots and lots of like interesting overlap between both. But I don't really think I'd pick up one over the other one just based off the performance. I think possibly the iPad 9 may be smoother sometimes, but the 90Hz of the Tab S9 FE gives it a little bit of a better impression in some ways. So ultimately, at the end of this video, what I'll definitely tell you is I think both these tablets are great. They have a lot of capability and a lot of features between them. Again, I don't know if there's like one that's significantly better. I think the iPad 9 is definitely a better deal, and if I had to pick up one, I wish I could buy like an iPad 9 with the display of the Tab S9 FE. That's kind of the best way to describe it, but regardless of both, I think both of them hold up very, very well. If I'm going to pick up one, it's probably going to be the, maybe the iPad 9 or the Tab S9 FE. The iPad 9 is better because it's cheaper. The S9 FE is better because it's just overall better tablet. So that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.